Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-dudes.com, and it's still winter time. I still have my coat on, and it seems like I've been wearing the same stuff for the past 3 weeks. And here we are with an oatmeal stout.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite kind of stout. Yes, you think?
Yeah, I think so, because it's supposed to deliver on a lot of different levels, right?
True.
Some creaminess, some sweetness, some intensity.
And Mike's been brewing oatmeal stouts for at least over 2 decades.
Yeah, Oatmeal Stout was the second beer I ever brewed.
Whoa! Back in the 20th century.
Yeah, and then it's just been a mess of stuff from there. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to let you tell us more about this recipe.
Yep.
Now, is this something that you've been playing with over? Or
so this recipe is a mess. This is more of an experiment of many different things all at the same time, unfortunately.
All right.
Mainly because I'll tell you the top line, the one thing I was really experimenting with, and then there's some can't wait. With, right?
Yep.
So first off, what I really have been thinking a lot about is those all-in-one brewing systems and how easy and convenient and quick they are. And so with my setup here, I've been tempted over the last 5-6 brews to try to do No Sparge Brewing. Meaning, in the way I mean that, sort of like a hybrid of No Sparge Brewing, where getting rid of the HLT altogether, mashing in, and then heating the rest of my water in my brew kettle. And then when the mash was done, pumping back into the mash the amount of water I need, doing some fancy maths, to know that once I run that off, I would have my pre-boil volume. And not have to go to a bucket, do whatever, because I'm just tired of moving and shaking. And I just wanted to experiment with that. So the real thing with this beer was I wanted to brew a stout because it's cold and I just wanted to get one on. I wanted to experiment a little bit with a couple ingredients. We'll talk about that in a second. But the big thing was I just want to experiment with No Sparge Brewing. I'm going to do my next several beers. I'm lined up to do more No Sparge Brewing. And maybe at some point we'll do a video of that so you can see it. So that's the big thing. The second thing is that when I was tasting this beer today, and then tasting it and looking at the recipe and going to myself, man, there's a lot going on here for trying to tweak a recipe and a process and a yeast all at the same time.
Oh, wonderful.
So the easy front line is let's jump to the end. I fermented this with the, I can't remember the number, but it's the Imperial Darkness. I think it's A10 Darkness,
okay, which
is their stout, their dark beer yeast, and it's I think it's supposed to be somewhat similar to using like 004, Irish ale yeast for making dark beers. So I want to do that and try, because I've always wanted to try their dark yeast, and I've always found that for some reason that those Irish yeast are really not very good for anything other than making stout, at least in my opinion, right? But for some reason in stout, they really make those beers sing.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then the next big change, the recipe, going through the recipe now, going back to the top, it's, and I haven't converted any of this to kilograms, so I'm sorry, I'll put it in the description. This is 9.6 pounds because I spilled 0.4 pounds on the floor of the car. So it's 9.6 pounds of stout malt.
Ah, okay.
Which I'd never used before, and I didn't necessarily buy it because it's a stout, but it was just, they had it. And so what is stout malt? It's sort of, think like Maris Otter, maybe just not as dark. And it's made sort of with this idea of driving a little more cracker, a little bit more of those stouty, biscuity notes into it, and still having a good malt. So it's 9.6 pounds of stout malt. It's 0.75 pounds of midnight wheat.
Yes.
The dehusked midnight wheat.
Okay.
Because I've noticed in the last couple of beers that I really had a feeling that like midnight wheat was like driving a significant chocolate thing. And I liked that.
Yep.
So I wanted to try that in an oatmeal stout to see if I could amplify the chocolatey type malt flavors you get, and a little bit less of the like roasted barley character, because there is no roasted barley in this stout.
Really?
Oh my gosh, sin. But
how dare you?
Then it's half a pound of crisp chocolate at 400 Love. Now, to be honest with you, these really dark chocolate malts, especially those English ones, aside from the fact that they are malted barley, they sort of behave taste-wise as far as like a lot of them sort of, they don't really deliver on their chocolate quality, hence the midnight wheat in this recipe.
Yeah.
But they give you a lot of roast character. So I think what I'm missing in roasted barley is made up for in the crisp chocolate. It's a whole pound of Baird's medium crystal, which is a 50 to 60 love.
Yep.
It's a pound of torrefied wheat, just because I'm trying to throw that in there, use it up. And then it's a little touch of pale chocolate. And so for the oats in this oatmeal stout, it's a pound and a quarter of flaked oats, specifically actually instant oats, just to see what type of oaty character to get. And because I wanted to, when we did that brown ale over the summer with the blonde roasted oats, I wanted to see if I could get even more of that biscuity cookie thing from those, because that was pretty pronounced in the brown ale. So this has also got 3/4 of a pound of those blonde roasted oats. So rather than toast flaked oats, I wanted to see if I could still get that toasted flake oat character from the blonde roasted oats, and then get the silky thing, if you will, from the regular flaked instant oats. So a bunch of gypsum, decided to sort of try to balance out our chloride in the water, and a little bit of acid to make sure that I could get the mash pH right. Now, one last curveball too in this whole process was I did what's called top mashing the dark malts. So the midnight wheat, the chocolate, and the crystal and the pale chocolate all went in after the mash was done during my recirculation, as I was topping off with the No Sparge water situation.
Mats,
So a lot of weird moving parts to this stout, but I was having fun, and I think that's the last time I checked, that's what we're supposed to be doing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and the mash, I mashed this at 152. Okay, so 152 mash temperature. The starting gravity, let me flip this. Oh, you want to, how about hops? This beer has hops in it. So I was also trying to use some stuff up. I used up the rest of my cluster hops. So the cluster hops, it's 1 ounce or 28 grams at 60 minutes. And then maybe it's just 1.5 ounces, about 35 grams at 10 minutes. And that used up the rest of my package of cluster. Because I don't mind the cluster. I didn't mind it. So in this, such a strong beer, I wasn't really too concerned with it. So yeah, and then those cluster hops were 7.8 alpha acids, and that's the recipe. So starting gravity, post-boil 1057, and it finished off at 1018. Okay. For like about a 4.5% in that ballpark.
Yeah.
ABV.
The body is there for a 1018, that's for sure. Once my palate got adjusted. Yeah. Because at first I was like, okay, I had to take some time to figure it out. I think it's super drinkable. The dryness of, I don't know if it is the midnight wheat, but
there's a smoothness there.
Yeah, it's really nice. It finishes clean and dry, and it makes you want to have another sip. Yeah, and that's great.
Oh, that's good.
And it's not super roasty. Like sometimes you have these stouts and you're like, ugh, it's like eating coffee beans or something like that. It's so roasty. The roastiness is subtle, and I'm trying to pull out anything else really. It's very much like this is what it is. So there is a silkiness from the oats. I didn't pick up the same thing from the what is it, the blonde roasted?
The blonde roasted oats.
Yeah, I didn't pick that out from this beer. Yeah, probably because there's so many things going on. I don't really detect much of the cluster. Yeah, on the aroma, there's a little bit of a caramel sweetness, but there's no hop aroma. Yep. There's not. Maybe a little bit.
I get a little cocoa powder on the aroma, which but that might just be me being biased because I was hoping to get that from the midnight wheat. I really when it first gets poured, I mean, there's a decent cocoa aroma.
Now you pull it out, yep. It's kind of like a Swiss Miss cocoa. Yeah. It's not like cocoa powder like the unsweetened stuff. It's that's why I was saying caramel, because there's a sweetness in the aroma there. But not a lot of yeast esters either.
That darkness has come through pretty. I mean, I wish I had something else to compare it to side by side, but with that darkness. But there's nothing oddball about the fermentation character.
The first few sips kind of had a woody.
Yeah. I actually got like a more of like a nut, like a, you know, almost
I was gonna say
thing.
hickory.
Yeah. There's like a yep.
kind of thing going on, and I think that's what was like, kind of like, okay, I gotta stop and think about this. But as your palate adjusts, then you're like, wow, okay, I'm tasting. You know, even if you didn't say midnight wheat, I would have said there is a subtle, you know, dark. And maybe that's the chocolate, the 400 love chocolate too, because it's not black patent, and even like roasted barley at like the real high quantities in some of these these stouts, you're like, oh, it's kind of off-putting.
It can be, yeah. I think with those, whenever you're dealing with layering roasted malts like this, I think the one thing for me, the only thing I would tweak with this, and I don't know what the pH of the mash was. I know that via calculation I was like at 5.2, 5.3, but I wonder what it really was, because I just wonder in this beer if the pH was just a 1/10 or 2/10 of a point higher, if it would take out a little bit of what I'm getting as like this artificial dark malt sweetness character, just to sort of maybe then the caramel malt and the rest of the oat flavor would come through. Because the roasted malt character, I wouldn't say that it's sharp, but it's almost sharp. It's like almost there. It's like right at the upper end of becoming that overbearing quality to it. Or maybe if I just dialed back on the chocolate malt and stuck with the midnight wheat, or or dump the. I'm sure that the pale chocolate's not having an effect in here, but you know, just dial some of that back to smooth it out a little bit. But I just wonder if bringing the pH up a little bit would alter this a little bit, which is something that we never really talk about and certainly haven't experimented with. But those dark malts can make it more acidic, right, and make it, which makes it a little bit brighter. But I don't know if it's just bordering on almost too acidic, maybe.
Well, now you have a pH meter.
Yeah.
You can like start talking.
And I've been reviving that pH meter. I had some good luck with it today.
Oh,
so
good.
We're getting there.
Very good. Okay, so a couple questions for you.
Yes.
One, do you think that your new brewing method, this no batch sparging, just all, you know, do you think that brought anything to this beer that you wouldn't normally
I think
get?
it shaved another 20 minutes off my brew session.
Okay.
Which is meaningful to me, just right.
Sure.
From that standpoint,
I'm just saying in the
but as far as as far as the beer goes, I'm pleased that I think the beer came out as it would have come out if I brewed it my normal way.
Okay.
So if I'm looking for a smoother brew process and still get the same quality beer, then that's it. Like I said, I've got another 3 or 4 beers queued up where I've been doing the math for doing it this way, and we'll see how those beers come out too.
Dark fruit thing going on.
Yeah.
It's like,
to me, I think that's some of the acidity. I think to me, you start getting like a dark forest cherry chocolate cake
As it
thing.
warmed up, I was like,
when the
something's going on there.
when the dark malts started getting a little acidic, you start thinking it's a fruity thing.
Okay.
But then again, it could be the yeast. It could be some esters coming out now that it's not fridge temperature. Although it might be colder out here than it is in my fridge.
It's like an almond extract thing going on, and that's the nutty thing too. So that was my first question. Second question is, with all the things that you tweaked here, what do you think had the biggest effect on the final flavor of this beer?
The midnight wheat.
Yeah.
Compared to my regular oatmeal stout, my wife loves the oatmeal stout, and she actually asked me to make oatmeal stout. So I use this as an opportunity to make oatmeal stout and then do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
But she tasted it, and she takes one sip and goes, "That's good, but it's not your oatmeal stout." I was like, "Oh, crap." So now I've got to somehow go through 5 gallons without a wife who's going to help me, right? So, but anyway, so I think the midnight wheat was the big, but now I've got a really good sense of midnight wheat. There's a smoothness, there's a cleanness to the roast that it delivers. So I think maybe go back to roasted barley, but sub in more midnight wheat with it. So you still get a little bit, but smooth it out a little bit.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So midnight wheat for stouts.
Yes. Why not? Why not?
New thing.
Yeah, new thing.
How do you think that pairs with cucumber? Just asking.
At this acidity level, probably pretty nice. Refreshing.
Things we'll have to keep in mind for April 1st.
April 1st.
Okay. All right. So oatmeal stout with a bunch of twists. I was going to say a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
Like a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, too many twists.
Too many twists. All right. So again, another cold weather style for y'all. Even though, I don't know, you were making stouts in the dead of summer.
Yeah, we did one in the summer. Why not?
Why not?
Stout all the time.
Exactly. So midnight wheat, that might be Mike's new innovation for this style. And too bad your wife is like,
I know,
not digging it.
Yep.
She'll get over it. She'll help you out, I'm sure.
Okay. I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah, we'll have to keep a scoreboard somewhere of how many pints of it she finally drinks.
An oatmeal stout is a terrible thing to waste.
It is a terrible thing to waste.
If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel. We'll do this every single week. And follow us on Instagram because I'm trying to get things going there.
Awesome.
I guess. I'm just taking silly pictures and putting it up there.
That's what Instagram's for.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I will keep trying.
All right.
For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.